actually start because it'll be edited.
Okay.
All right. Hi, you guys. What an absolutely powerful film. I want to hear a little bit about the origins of the film. At what point of your conceiving journey did you decide that you want to document your whole road to parenthood?
Oh, well, I think it was probably only about 7 or 8 weeks in when we actually found out we were pregnant. And then my husband here, Charlie, might have lived to regret this, but he suggested after, I think probably the millionth time that I nervously vented to him that I was worried, about lack of work while I was pregnant, something offhandedly like, why don't you just make a film? And so we did. So we literally started pretty much right at the beginning. We recreated a scene or two that had already passed, obviously finding out we were pregnant. And we never had a script, but rather kind of an evolving whiteboard with Post-it notes on it that alarmingly kept becoming reality. I was like, well, this might be a cool VFX shot. And then it would happen in the world. And we'd kind of ambulance chase it, I guess, to get the footage. But it was such a cool adventure. And I hope that the fact that we were able to do this, over the course of a pregnancy with a 2-man crew, no script, maybe empowers other people to go after their impossible goals too.
Absolutely. I love that message. Were you nervous at all to showcase all of these personal and intimate moments with the world?
Yes, I would say every bit of me is nervous every time. And second guess is, hi, my little kiddo. We also have, this is why our post-production took a hot minute. Little dudes.
Well, now you have to. Yeah.
I know. We do too. We got some surprise pickup shots from our second pregnancy over here, who's homesick for the day. Yay.
We love a kid cameo.
He might come in. We'll see.
He's sick though, right? Yeah.
He's a little sniffly, but he's not too bad. But I don't know, what would you say?
No, I wasn't afraid just because of the fact that, that's just kind of what we do is we're vulnerable in, as actors playing these different characters. But for me, the hardest part was, not being able to go to like a trailer when you need to decompress or something like that. It's like, I'm angry about the scene and the way it played out, and we can't shoot it again because of sound and whatnot. And I'll be on this couch.
I'll be right here in front of you.
That was like, we shot in our house, we shot in our car, we shot in the garage before we had done all this. It was just a rundown garage. So we
used what we had.
We used everything.
I will say it's every director probably deals with this, but every time I watch that, there's always things I'm like, oh, I wish I'd done this. I could keep tweaking it forever. And I will 1,000% appreciate having a crew next time, because you always notice we were climbing our own learning curves at every, corner, crew wise. So there's always moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a gaffer to fix that. But still
a good
really
sound person too. Yeah.
Right. But so proud of what we were able to accomplish. I mean, Kathy even helped behind the camera as well when we had to shoot in this garage. It was like 105 degrees for a scene with Glenn Morshower, just to pull focus for us and help out. And
yeah.
That was fun. Kathy, how did you get involved in the film and what were your parts?
Help me remember, Paula. I mean, I
had you audition for like 7 rounds. No.
Yeah, it went on and on and on. And I was like, come on, you have to know by now if you want me in this. No, we've been friends for so long, and before she ever got pregnant, and we had talked about having babies together, but she went way before me. So, and I knew that she was really nervous about, we had conversations, some of the same conversations about what it's going to be like, when I have not had a kid yet, but it's very scary, I'm sure, and then she said she's going to do this film. And I think my short-term memory is great. Long-term is bad. So I think you just asked me to do it, right?
You did.
Didn't you just say,
I kind of pitched you on it.
Okay.
I was like, would you play my sister for this? I have a real sister, obviously. It was kind of based on that. And Karen's, she is actually a pretty good actor, but she's a nurse by trade. and was so super busy with her own newborn at the time. And I was like, okay, I have a fantastic stand-in sister, Kathy being part of my 5 to and under club that we started. And so, yeah, I just knew she could do it, and I knew she'd be wonderful at it. So asked if she'd come play.
Well, on that note, oh, little kids, so cute.
I know.
I just want to go on the record. I did not want Kathy in this film.
But Charlie never wants me around.
Charlie
so.
voted. That Kathy is how Charlie's how I met Kathy. So they knew each other even
I've
longer.
known Charlie forever. Yeah.
And yeah, we were wrestling with that. Like, how do you define yourself as an actor or an artist when you're having to have this life transition? And I was nervous about making that transition. So this really helped me realize my personal goal of still being able to be a creator and a mom. Those two were able to fold together. So it is possible. And I would love to encourage others to try.
I love that. That's beautiful. Kathy, since you said that you haven't had your kids yet, but you watched this whole experience of this journey throughout this film being made, did you learn anything about the journey to parenthood?
Oh, good question.
During a war?
I feel like I have been gathering information for many years because I'm terrified of having children and just being pregnant. So I'm always like asking I just finished another film. I was on set yesterday and I was asking Stephen Martini. I was like, he has 2 kids. I was like, okay, so just tell me, like, how bad is it? I'm like constantly like gathering information. So it's kind of hard for me to remember like what I did learn through that. But I mean, Paula's taught me so much in life in general. She's like this encyclopedia of information, and she's brilliant. So if I have a contract that I don't really understand, Paula's like, oh, here, let me just whip out what everything means. So I learn a lot from Paula in general. So it's hard for me. And the thing is, like, this was filmed years ago.
2015.
So that's why, like, I have a hard time remembering, like, going back, like what, I knew then and what I know now, because I feel like I've grown so much in the past few years. But that's a good question that I didn't answer. Sorry.
No, you totally did. I would note that even, with all of the benefits that we have of a relatively functioning healthcare system here, and having the privilege we have by being who we are, it's still a mortally scary time in life. Yeah. All of us know somebody who's had, a tragic or traumatic birth or pregnancy. And that was the first time I was wrestling with my mortality, and having been healthy up to that point. Luckily, you really know that you're not guaranteed any particular outcome. And that's with a functioning system, right? And if you're a woman of color, those odds double at having something awful happen here in the US. Yeah. So looking at that and realizing that women were facing the same situation all over the world, or people, just, families that were growing, and doing it in the middle of war, of places that were really crumbling, and seeing for the first time how fragile our own country actually was. I wanted to address that and humanize the flippant calls to arms that I kept seeing almost daringly or threateningly in social media and mainstream media.
Yeah, I want to talk about the protest because it is a large portion of the film. Why was it important for you to tie in the state of the world with a story about your pregnancy journey?
Well, when I looked around at what kind of film I could make, I looked at what was really affecting me and my heart at the time. Obviously, that journey into parenthood was high on the list. And then the second was that human side of me that was really noticing that for the first time, I was seeing people say civil war as if they were rooting for it, or it was coming or threatening it. And just the lack of responsibility, our group responsibility as a nation that I was seeing both in journalism and in just our personal demeanor online, shocked me enough to be like, you guys are not rationing out what that would actually look like. It's not a video game, like how do you identify your enemies in that situation? We're not going to wear certain color hats. Come on. And so I wanted to humanize that, because women, children, the vulnerable, they're the ones that actually feel war the first and the worst. And to really kind of paint a picture of what that would look like, even for people who weren't politically engaged, maybe especially for them, to hopefully encourage people to spare just a little bit of their bandwidth to try to engage, to try to make sure we have responsible conversations in this nation, that civil war shouldn't be an option. And if we don't speak up, then the crazies end up driving the bus.
Amen
But
to
it-
that.
If I
You're
could add
very
to that,
eloquent.
I think a part of it, especially early on, that really drove this was the idea that Paul and I were, we would talk. We do talk. We would talk.
We do.
And you just,
Oh.
you just turned on Jurassic Park for all
It's
of us to
fine. We
hear.
have some soundtrack.
on, buddy.
It's
We would talk about because we're both so political, the people that weren't political, how did you know? We would talk to like family members when you haven't heard of this. We thought it was so bizarre that some people really just are like la 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 la, if I don't pay attention it's not
and yet,
happening.
I didn't think it was that bizarre. I can understand it. And I wanted to kind of humanize what could happen or demonstrate what could happen if you completely tune out and don't rise to the civic responsibility we all have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys lived these moments, but when you watched the film back and you experienced everything from the point of view as a viewer, did anything strike you or surprise you as you were watching it play out in real time on the screen?
Yeah. And I will say every time that I have self-doubt, I'm always happily surprised when I watched it again. And I'm like, no, I am really proud of this. And then, it creeps in again because that's what we are as artists. We doubt ourselves all the time. But I was so sadly struck by, in particular, a monologue that I gave Glenn to say, which at the time, most of this was improv. Most of our entire film is improv, but Glenn Morshire being such a pro for so many years, he's like, I really prefer some sort of script. And I was like, got you, I'll jot something down. And I literally transcribed a rant that was on a particular station that night, somebody talking to a talking head. And he re-uttered it back. And then I continued, and this was right after Ferguson, a shooting of Michael. And so you continue to see the same scenario, how that exact speech almost gets played out every time another person is shot. So that was really alarming and eye-opening to see that it still hadn't been fixed. It just continues to be on repeat again and again and again.
Yeah.
There are a number of moments in which I was touched. Here, Ellie, you can come over here. Just pick him up and bring him here. Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting moment. When I saw the movie, now that you're saying it, it had been years, and then I was like, oh, it's done. I get to go see it. And then I completely forgot everything I had said. I said, oh, no, I don't even remember saying it. That's so cool. It looked like it was someone else.
At the Chinese theater?
That was the very first time I'd ever seen it. Yeah. So I was like, oh, it really felt new to me. Like I said, my long-term memory is bad. So I was like, I don't remember like saying that. But that scene with Glenn, you're right. That was a very pivotal moment in the movie. And it was later in the movie too, but it really, I think I teared up during that to your reaction to what he says. Like, cause you can really see your wheels turning like, oh my God.
And to realize that these were, thoughts that actual other citizens of ours were having and continue to have was very, very alarming to me.
Yeah. I mean, will you show this movie to your kids one day? What do you hope that they learn after screening the entire film?
Yeah. I mean, we shot it specifically or edited it along with our amazing editor who helped us craft the whole story, since we were kind of building this beast as we were falling. We did it with a kind of a PG 13 at most rating in mind so that they could see it for sure. I'm proud of it. I hope they see it, and I hope they're inspired as well to be engaged and to protect this gift that we all have, being just pure luck, to be born here, and to appreciate what we have, I guess. What would you say? Would you show our kids?
Yeah, they helped us edit.
Well, they certainly were amazing props.
They're in it.
What a beautiful gift to give your kids, to show them exactly what was going on in the time that they were born and how their parents were able to navigate that.
I hope we stand as a good example of that, of still being able to pursue ourselves as creators and our dreams and still be able to give them, time and a good childhood. It is always a juggle. Case in point, child on couch.
You
But
keep pointing to me
well,
like
he's
I'm the
behind you.
child.
He's behind you. He's part
over
of you.
there.
He's part of you. But yeah, it is doable if that's what people decide to do. So I really do hope to inspire others to, go after their goals with this endeavor.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today.
you.
We're going to edit this and make it super cute, and it will come out in something special pretty soon.
Super
That we'll
excited.
be
And
able to send
we're so thrilled to be a part of Santa Fe. So thank you so much, guys.
Of course. Thank you. The film was so touching. I loved it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Madison.
All right. Have a good day, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Gabby.
Bye.